Ever take a sip of your usual morning coffee and think, something's a little different today?
Yeah, happens all the time.
Well, you might be surprised that a huge factor in that, even with the exact same beans, is actually the roast level.
Exactly. That's what we're digging into today.
We're going to dive deep into light, medium, and dark roasts. Try and, uncover their secrets so you get a real feel for how they change your daily cup.
Yeah, we've been looking at this great article that really breaks down the fundamental differences. How each roast shapes the flavor, the smell, the aroma, even how it feels in your mouth, the body.
Right. And our mission today is pretty straightforward, but honestly vital for any coffee lover, right?
Hmm.
We want to give you the knowledge to confidently choose the perfect roast, whether you're like standing in a cafe or browsing beans online.
So you can match it to your taste, your brewing method.
Exactly. Think of it as unlocking a whole new level for your coffee routine. Okay, so let's start with light roasts. What makes them stand out?
Well, light roasts, they get the shortest roasting time, and that really shapes everything about them.
Okay.
Visually, you're looking at a light brown color. And importantly, no oily sheen on the beans.
No oil. Why is that?
Because the roast is so short, those internal oils haven't really had a chance to migrate to the surface yet.
Ah, okay. And flavor-wise, I often hear bright or even like tangy.
That's a really good description. Yeah. Light roasts are known for having higher acidity,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what gives them that bright, sometimes tangy quality.
Right.
Because they're roasted less, they hold on to more of the original flavors from the green bean.
So less roasty flavor, more bean flavor.
Precisely. You might pick up fruity notes, maybe floral, sometimes citrusy stuff. And what's really cool is how a light roast lets the specific origin, the terroir of the coffee really come through,
Terroir, right.
especially with really good single origin beans.
Okay, hold on. Terroir. For anyone listening who's maybe not heard that term with coffee, can you just quickly explain it?
Sure, yeah. Terroir in coffee
Mm-hmm.
is basically all the environmental factors from where it's grown.
Like soil, altitude.
Exactly. Soil, climate, altitude, even other plants nearby.
Yeah.
All that stuff influences the final flavor of the beans. And light roasting just lets you taste those place-specific nuances much more clearly.
That's fascinating. So it's kind of like wine then.
Very much so, yeah.
With a light roast, you're tasting more of where it came from, less of the roasting process itself.
You got it. And that carries over to the body, too. Light roasts tend to feel lighter, crisper,
Uh-huh.
a cleaner finish.
Okay.
You might see names like Light City, Cinnamon Roast, maybe Half City.
Right. So who's usually drinking light roasts? Who are they best for?
Generally, I'd say coffee enthusiasts, people who are really keen to explore those intricate, distinct flavors from different places, different terroirs.
You want that brightness.
Yeah, they're often looking for that vibrant acidity and those unique notes that aren't masked by heavy roasting.
And brewing.
But
What's the best way to make a light roast pop?
Well, methods that emphasize clarity are usually best. Think pour over or maybe drip coffee makers.
Okay.
Those methods really let the more delicate flavors shine. The article actually mentions Ethiopian or Kenyan coffees as great examples, often showcased by light roasts.
Got it. So light roast is tasting the origin. Cool. Now let's shift gears. Medium roasts. What happens when we roast a bit longer?
Okay, so medium roasts obviously roasted longer than light. They get this medium brown color. Still usually no noticeable oil on the surface, but definitely darker than a light roast.
And the flavor, does that brightness start to like chill out a bit?
Yes, exactly. With medium roasts, things get more balanced. The acidity is more moderate,
Mm-hmm.
and you start tasting notes like caramel, maybe chocolate, or nuts developing, like a middle ground.
Yeah.
You get some origin character, but also some sweetness from the roast itself.
Ah, so it's less fruity than a light roast, maybe.
Generally, yeah. The roasting starts adding its own layer,
Mm-hmm.
but without totally taking over.
That makes sense, like a balance beam.
That's a perfect way to put it. And the body reflects that too. It's fuller than a light roast, feels smoother in the mouth.
And names. What are common medium roast names?
You'll see things like city roast, breakfast roast, or American roast pretty often.
Okay. And who tends to prefer these? Sounds like they might be pretty popular.
Oh, absolutely. Medium roasts are often called the sweet spot. They appeal to a really wide range of people.
Why is that?
Well, they're for folks who want a well-rounded cup, but maybe without the intense brightness of a light roast or the real heavy boldness of a dark roast. Super versatile.
And brewing. Are they fussier than light roasts or more flexible?
Definitely more adaptable. Medium roasts work well with, honestly, most brewing methods.
Right.
Drip machines, French presses,
Even espresso?
yeah, even espresso. They tend to give you a milder, more balanced shot compared to, say, a dark roast espresso.
Okay, interesting. So light for origin focus, medium for balance, which brings us to dark roasts.
Ah.
The ones that look almost black sometimes. What's the story there?
Right, dark roasts get the longest time in the roaster. Visually, yeah, they're dark brown to nearly black, and you'll almost always see that shiny, oily surface.
Okay, why the oil this time?
That longer time at higher temperatures literally draws the internal oils out onto the bean surface.
And the flavor profile must change dramatically, right? We're talking bold, smoky.
Precisely. Dark roasts are all about bold, smoky flavors, often chocolatey, maybe even hints of like burnt caramel or bitter sweetness.
Okay.
And here's the key thing. The roast flavors become dominant. They tend to mask or mute the original flavors of the bean itself.
So with a dark roast, where the bean came from matters less for the final taste. Is that fair to say?
Generally, yes.
Yeah.
That intense heat and long roast time kind of overrides those subtle origin notes.
Right.
The acidity also drops way down, so you get a smoother, less tangy cup. And the body, usually full, rich, with a finish that kind of lingers.
And the names for these?
You'll hear full city, Vienna roast, French roast, Italian roast. Those all point towards a darker profile.
Okay. And who's reaching for the dark roast then? People who like really strong coffee.
Yeah, definitely fans of that strong, bold profile. And espresso lovers often favor dark roasts.
Why espresso specifically?
Well, they help create a really rich crema, that reddish-brown foam on top,
Mm-hmm.
and their robust taste holds up super well against milk and lattes or cappuccinos.
Ah, so if you love that deep, almost chocolatey bitterness cutting through the milk in your latte.
Chances are it's a dark roast espresso base, yeah. Okay, maybe we should quickly touch on why this all happens, like what's actually going on inside the bean during roasting.
Yeah, good idea. What's the science bit?
Well, roasting is basically this amazing chemical transformation. It unlocks all the flavors, the aromas, the textures we want from green coffee.
Okay.
And two huge processes are the Maillard reaction and caramelization.
Maillard, like searing meat or toasting bread.
Exactly like that. It's sugars and amino acids reacting under heat, creating hundreds of different flavor compounds. Caramelization is simpler, just sugars breaking down, creating those sweet, nutty, sometimes slightly bitter notes.
So the different roast levels are just different stages of these reactions.
That's it, exactly. Light roasts, reactions are just getting started, helps keep those original, often delicate origin flavors intact. Those volatile compounds from the terroir are still there.
Okay.
Move to medium, the reactions go further. You build more sweetness, more body, start balancing origin with roast character.
And dark.
Dark roasts, those reactions are going full tilt. More complex compounds break down into simpler, bolder, roasty flavors. Sometimes a bit of bitterness develops, and those oils come out.
That really clears it up. Each level unlocks different things. So, okay, putting it all together, how do you, the listener, choose the right roast? Where's the starting point?
It really comes down to your personal taste, first and foremost. What do you enjoy? If you like bright, complex, nuanced cups, and you're curious about tasting where the coffee comes from, a light roast is probably a great shout.
Okay.
If you prefer something more balanced, smoother body, maybe notes of caramel or chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
Medium roast is your reliable all-rounder.
And the bold stuff.
And if you crave that strong, bold, smoky flavor, especially if you're making espresso or adding milk, then yeah, dark roast is likely what you're after.
But it's not just about flavor preference, is it? You mentioned brewing methods earlier.
Absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
How you brew makes a big difference. Some roasts just sing with certain methods.
Like light roasts and pour over.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Light roasts do great with methods that give clarity pour over, AeroPress, even cold brew can be interesting.
Yeah.
Lets those delicate notes come through.
And medium.
Mediums are the adaptable ones, remember. Drip, French press, espresso. They tend to work well across the board.
And dark.
Dark roasts really shine in espresso machines or mocha pots. That pressure and heat brings out the boldness, the crema. Great for standing up to milk.
Okay, so it's really a two-step thought process then. First, what flavors do I like? Second, how am I going to brew it?
Nail those two, and you're well on your way to finding your perfect coffee experience.
Fantastic. So wrapping this up, the big takeaway is roast level is absolutely fundamental. It shapes everything. Flavor, aroma, body.
Mm-hmm. From those delicate, origin-focused light roasts.
To the balanced mediums all the way to that powerful roasty character of a dark roast.
Understanding the differences just gives you so much more control.
Yeah, empowers you to make better choices.
That's right. So we really encourage you to think about what you truly enjoy in your cup and how you usually make it.
And don't be afraid to experiment.
Definitely. Trying different roasts is such a great way to, deepen your appreciation and figure out what your perfect cup looks like.
Absolutely. And, now that you understand how much the roast level matters, it kind of makes you wonder,
Yeah.
what else could you explore in your coffee ritual? Maybe digging into the actual origins of the beans themselves. That sounds like fertile ground for another deep dive, doesn't it?